Welcome to the Workplace Wellbeing Essential Series. I'm Mari Ryan. I'm the CEO and founder of Advancing Wellness. It is my pleasure to welcome you today to this expert interview where we explore topics that impact employee well-being. My guest today is Leslie Meyer-Miller. Leslie, with a background in social work, has a passion for health and wellness. Since 1992, she has spent her professional career helping people discover how to live with change that life invariably brings. Leslie's educational credentials and certifications include a master's in social and science administration from Case Western Reserve and a certified professional coactive coach from Coactive Training Institute, one of the world's leading coaching programs. Today's Leslie's mission is to help people achieve optimal health. Leslie's own life journey of overcoming serious health challenges facilitated her wanting more out of life while honoring her values and herself. Through Leslie's own life experiences and professional training, she has developed systems of health and wellness, empowering people to take charge and to take care of themselves. Leslie, I'm delighted to have you here today.
Mari, I am so delighted to be here with you. Thank you for inviting me.
My pleasure. Our topic today is around caregiving. Nearly 43 million Americans currently tend to a family member or a friend in need. For context for that number, that represents about 21% of the U.S. population. So if we think of this in the context of the workplace, perhaps as many as 1 in 5 employees in the workplace has caregiving responsibilities. For many of these individuals, their caregiving responsibilities are in addition to their paid work and or their responsibilities as a parent or a family member. So caregiving duties can be stressful and exhausting. So today we're going to explore this topic of caregiving and the link to well-being, in particular with employees. But Leslie, before we dig into this, I'm really curious. How and why did you decide to devote your work to coaching of caregivers?
Mari, thank you so much for asking that question. As you read in my bio, I have had a lot of different various physical and emotional challenges throughout my life. And not only did I need caregiving and extra caregiving when I was younger, I chose the profession of social work initially because I wanted to be able to help others. But in 2001, I actually fell to a medical, I had medical leave where I was working, and I won't go into the details. That's not, really important, but it completely changed my life. I mean, just completely, I had an overhaul. It was very difficult at first to recover and to figure out everything, but then I realized it was a blessing because it allowed me to be even a better social worker, and it led me into my own journey of wellness, got me into wellness coaching. So that's how I have chosen this. The other thing is, in my social work background, I have always worked with older adults and family and professional caregivers. So that's pretty much kind of how I came to where I am today with helping caregivers.
Well, thank you for sharing that and for sharing that element of your personal journey, which no doubt had to have been difficult. But it's so interesting how that can inspire us to be able to be in a place from personal experience to really help others.
Right. Exactly.
Well, let's explore this idea of the caregiver if we can a little bit. For many caregivers, it's really, what we might call part-time work, in
Hmm.
addition to, their other responsibilities, either as a paid job or as a member of a family. And that certainly has got to be very stressful for people. How does it impact individuals when they have to show up at a real job, a day job, when they're a caregiver?
Well, a lot of times they show up as um, presenteeism. I don't know, you may know that word
Of
from the
course.
work you do, but I'll just explain it for those who are in our audience. We all know what absenteeism is. Person's not there, they miss work physically. But presenteeism is when you are present at your position, at your work, but your mind is elsewhere. And you are so worried about what's going on at home with the person you're caregiving for that your productivity is and can decline. So that is basically, it can really affect the person at work.
Mhm. So they must be carrying a lot of stress into the job as well, I would think.
Very much so. And because they're working, and a lot of times when you're caregiving, you never know when the ball's going to drop.
Mm,
So there's an emergency when you're not expecting it.
right.
Somebody needs extra help. And or
Hmm.
your caregiver, your paid caregiver is sick. All
Mm,
and so the stress is enormous. And the unfortunately, the caregiver doesn't pay attention to themselves.
mhm,
They let themselves go because they feel they don't have time.
mhm.
I don't have time to take a break. I don't have time to get a massage. I don't have time to just have a cup of tea and read a book.
Mm,
So their own self-care greatly diminishes. And a lot of times, they do not even recognize it. Even
mm.
when somebody brings it to
Yeah,
their attention, they
yeah,
say, "Oh, I'm fine. I'm
yeah,
fine."
yeah.
But it's not uncommon that in a lot of statistics that people who are caregivers, it's not uncommon that they have a few less years of their life than people
Mm,
who
mhm.
have never been a caregiver. And also, it causes individuals to develop chronic illness.
Wow. Well, that's a huge impact. In your opinion, how important is it for someone who has caregiving responsibilities to let their employer know about those responsibilities and have an open conversation about what that means for them and how they're going to be showing up at work?
It's huge. But I will first start with saying that a lot of caregivers are scared out of their wits to
Mm,
tell their managers, their supervisors, they're going to HR because they are scared that they will lose their job. So
yeah.
a lot of times they don't say anything.
Mm,
When you keep things in, that increases your stress. So
right.
it's just kind of a vicious cycle. But I do know that more and more, and I know we're going to talk about this a little bit later on, more and more workplaces are recognizing
Hmm.
the need of their employees to have assistance and help um, with
Hmm.
caregiving.
Well, that really brings up a good point then. So where can caregivers get support?
Caregivers can get support from, I have a couple references here.
Okay.
Caregivers can get support from Elder Care Locator, which is eldercare.org. That is a fantastic resource, and it will take you wherever you need in the country to receive resources for services. Another one that is becoming more and more my favorite is caregiver.org.
Hmm.
That is a phenomenal resource. And you and that specific website or organization you can actually plug in the state that you're in, and they will give you all the numbers of different resources
Wow, that's
of from like support groups to
mm-hmm.
needing respite care and et cetera, et cetera. So
Mm-hmm.
there's definitely, and I could go on for a whole hour with resources, but those are just, two of the many, many resources.
Oh, that's great. Well, that's good. And of course, in larger employers, they have EAP programs where employees can take advantage of some of those resources, which can also, give them direction on where to find some resources. So that's really helpful. If someone is in a managerial role, so what should a manager do if they find out that one of their employees has caregiving responsibility? How can they support them?
Well, number one, be very compassionate as much as you can. It is so stressful to be a caregiver that, and I should have probably mentioned that I actually am a long distance caregiver, family care for my own family. So, so I do have that personal side, other, besides the professional side, but it's very, very stressful. So it's very important that the manager takes some time to have a conversation, take some time to maybe offer. It would be great if they could offer flex time. So if someone's mother or father has a morning doctor's appointment on Tuesday, then they can come in and work from 12 to 7 or 12 to 8. So flex time's really good. The other thing is, which I think companies are moving more towards, is when you have sick days and holidays and paid vacation, if companies were to lump that all in one category, then they can take a half a day off and not have to worry about making up that time, which will then reduce their stress. Offer support groups, whether it's online or in the company. Provide a list of resources with phone numbers. A lot of people don't realize that when you're a caregiver, you are so exhausted, so overwhelmed that you don't even have time to look up a phone number. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but you don't. So if companies, if EAPs, HR have a listing of all, different various organizations with the website and phone number and just give it to them, that would be great. And then also tell the employee that they are honored that they are sharing this information, because that's going to release some stress and it will make them feel comfortable in going to them.
Well, those sound like great suggestions in ways that, the managers and the employers can really support the individual. It occurs to me as we're talking about this and I have personally been, through caregiving situations with family members as well, and know how stressful it was. In the midst of all that, it's really hard to convince somebody who's got the stress of caregiving and all of their other life responsibilities to stop and take care of themselves.
Oh my gosh.
So how do you do that when they are just feeling so overwhelmed by the fact that they've got all of these different areas of responsibility? So how do you get people to stop?
A lot of times you don't, Mari.
No.
I have witnessed so many times of people not being able to stop, or they say, I'm fine, I don't need that. Yeah. However, if you can get them to stop, here's some things to encourage. You can provide maybe a gift certificate for them to go get a massage and provide respite for their family member that they're caregiving for, because they won't, that certificate will expire if they don't have someone to take care of them. A lot of times people, just the caregiver, here's all their support system saying, let me know what you need. They're not going to let you know what they need. Instead, bring over a meal.
Mm-hmm.
or have a rotating, you know, schedule of people in the community. Like on Mondays, somebody does a meal, you know, Tuesday. And not every day of the week, but even just a couple days of the week could really be helpful.
Yeah.
Allow the person to, allow the person, you're going to laugh at this, and it is funny, but one of the things that I teach my caregivers is how to breathe.
Yeah.
And I help them do it in 1 minute. And I
Mm-hmm.
prove to them that they do feel different. And I tell them to go into the bathroom and close the door,
Mm-hmm.
because no one's going to bother them in the
That's great.
bathroom,
That's
right?
great. Yeah.
And what I love for them to do is to do that deep breathing and relaxation while they're taking that hot shower,
Mm-hmm.
you know, or even sitting on the toilet. I know that may sound funny, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah, I
that
get it.
breath. Well, I did a 6-minute meditation before we got on today, you know, just to calm my breath down, you know. So, you know, 1 minute can do wonders. So I can go on and on, but I'm not.
That's a great suggestion. No, that's a great suggestion. And I think it's, I think this is one of the big challenges with caregivers is, they just say I'm okay and they just keep, carrying on, and that's where part of the problem becomes is they're not asking for help. And so, then they just burn themselves out and then they're not of use to anybody.
Right. And actually, I meant to share with you, a lot of times people don't ask for help because they feel guilty asking for help.
Mm,
They become depressed, so they can't ask for help. They're overwhelmed, so they don't even know how
right.
to begin to ask for help. And what I tell a lot of my caregivers, and when I do presentations, that the only person that likes change is, you know what I'm going to say, don't you? Is our babies who need their diapers changed.
Yeah.
And so it's hard for caregivers to change. It's very, very difficult for them to change.
Yeah.
And they feel that they're being selfish. This is huge. I work so much on this with my clients. They feel selfish if they do something to take care of themselves. If they
Mm,
go out to dinner with a friend or go to a movie or even go to a support group, they feel guilty.
right.
Um, But the more they try to integrate just little bits and pieces of self-care,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to be at their best or better at their best. And they'll be more productive, not only, at work, which we've been discussing a lot, but they also will be a better caregiver.
That's great. Well, it sounds like the work you're doing with the individuals that are fortunate enough to work with you is very important in giving them the support that they need. If our audience wants to learn more about you and the work that you're doing, where can they find you?
They can find me on my website, passageinsights.com, or they can also email me, which is on the website. But I offer an e-newsletter. Sometimes just having that will help somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And I do quick newsletters because they don't have time to read.
Right.
So I just give
Right.
or two.
Right. Well, those sound like great resources. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, well,
Really
thank
appreciate your
you so
time.
much. I really appreciate being on the show, the program. Thank you,
Thanks.
Mari.